Greetings and welcome back to Victoria 3. It's the 8th of August 1915 and this basically means that this Ethiopian run unfortunately is rapidly approaching the end. We basically have only 20 years left and I'm not really sure of what we will be able to achieve in this very final part of the run. I don't really think that we will be able to expand further in these final years of the run, but who knows? I am currently decreasing the relationship with France in the perspective of maybe a very last final expansion, but I don't think that it will happen. Coming to the economic situation, things are going well. We have reached almost 30 million of GDP. We are 16 in the world. Literacy, it has been booming in the last episodes. We are above 50%. I mean, still we are behind compared to the most developed countries, but I will still say that it's not that bad. Standard of living, also this could be better, but I'm not going to complain. We are still, after all, 49 in the world. Population is growing. The population has always been growing since the beginning of this run. Now we have surpassed the 13 millions. Of course, I'm not happy to see that out of 13 millions, 4 millions are basically radical. This is quite a significant amount. But for the moment, it seems that the situation is still under control. Lately, we focused a lot on the development of our society, and the result, you can see them here. We managed, for example, to abolish slavery, and now we are actually working on restricting the child labor. I will suggest then to remove the pause and let this final 20 years pass. I'm not really sure if we will cover them all in this episode, but yeah. Let's see how far we can go today. I will also try to build here a port, because right now we have only one port here in Somaliland, but I would like to expand the number of convoys that we can use. There is a new conflict for France. They are easily winning against the Tuareg uprising. I don't want to use this as a chance to declare another war on France. And the Ottoman Empire is proposing a trade agreement. I will have to decline because even though we exchange a number of products with them and we could benefit from having no tariff, I still want to have the tariff for the products that we sell them. So let's decline. And let's see if we can manage to pass the law to restrict child labor. No, we failed. Opposition members put forth demands. We have seen this many times. We could increase the enactment success chance at the expense of the trade unions. And the trade unions right now have plus 14, so we can afford. Let's do it and let's make sure that we pass this law, or at least let's try. That will cancel the violent suppression here in Rift Valley, even though the turmoil remain high. I will promote social mobility in Somaliland. I want to increase further our literacy. So the 4 most populated states, they all have this decree passed. And we have language in the classroom again. French students sometimes use their native language. No way that I'm going to select their language as part of their heritage. I'm very sorry, but French is the only language that we do not tolerate in our school. So, French pops will become radical. Deal. With all the issues that France gave us in the course of this run, I think that they earned some discrimination. And we need more clippers now that we have the second port. On the other hand, the good news is that the available convoys increased, so we can also afford to import clippers from Spain. We can enable more trade routes. Of course, they cost bureaucracy, so I still have to be careful, but generally speaking, we have more room to operate in the market. And we have unavoidable injuries event in Oromia. With the government push for restricted child labor, adult men have been pressed to cover the gap they will leave behind. However, their bodies are too large and their fingers too wide for it, and industrial accidents have been increasing. Laborers and machinists in Oromia will become more radical if I try to push the enactment success chance. But I really have to. We will see what will be the cost for developing our society further. Will we have a revolution? Or we will manage to make the Empire of Ethiopia a little bit more modern. And there is another diplomatic play in Nile, and this time France again is moving against the Misri uprising. Where are they? This is interesting. This is interesting. Crush Egyptian secession from one side, and the other side revoke French claims. Curious that Egypt is still neutral right now. I will start moving here. I want to see if they offer us anything. It's okay. Here I declare neutrality. I'm not sure if this will be the right moment to declare another war against France. I still regret the fact that when we defeated them and then included the Rift Valley in our territory, I did not include to have also the recognition. That's the reason why Ethiopia is still an unrecognized regional power. Of course, if we will have enforced also that war goal, we will have more prestige. The Rift Valley eruption. Oh no, we already had this drama before. We cannot predict an eruption, or no way I'm going to increase like that my government expenses. Unfortunately, Rift Valley gets 25% of devastation. It's a state that is already quite unstable because of the turmoil. Now it gets also 25% of devastation. Oh, and it seems that France is struggling against the Misri uprising. Also, they have an expensive cost of war. Could it be that it's the time to declare war against France? To be honest, I will include Kenya because I really hate this border like this. On the other hand, the natural resources I would like, they're not there. I think it will be more interesting for us either to conquer here, coal mines 2 of 37, not bad. Alternatively, I could focus here in Equatoria and complete the annexion of Equatoria, but on the other hand here, yeah, definitely it's not a priority. I think we should really try to get Tanganyika. France, Sardinia, Piedmont and Switzerland. I mean, honestly, both France and Sardinia, Piedmont seem to be plagued by high cost of war. It looks that France is not really moving against the Misri uprising because they seem to be busy here, even though there are no active fronts, so I'm not really sure where all these increasing dead and wounded are coming from. But as you can see, they have all the mobilized battalions here. Let's try our luck, and I hope not to regret. Confirm. And let's add immediately as a war goal. Oh no, I cannot do it. Why I cannot ask for recognition? I want to be recognized. Let's hope this time not to have any issue with the fronts. And let's also hope that we can pass restricted child labor at this round of consultation. Nope. Public address goes over. What was meant as a routine speech about the merits of restricted child labor by Ras de Missy has quickly developed into a public relation disaster for the trade unions. Let's try to limit the damage. Minus 10% enactment success chance. This will take us back to 27%. But I will insist on the slow. War with France has broken out. Unfortunately, I had no chance to have the goal to be recognized by the great powers, at least we can try to conquer Tanganyika. Unfortunately, the peace treaty here in Egypt was already signed, so now France could focus in theory on us. I am defending here where I wanted to actually attack, and the reason for that is because I can take advantage of the fact that this front is completely not covered by France and try to penetrate here. I wanted originally to defend here, and instead I will have to penetrate. With this gentleman, what I can do maybe is to also push with him then. And in this way we managed to get some advantage on our opponents. And now we are basically screwed because they are defending both fronts. I mean, we managed to get some advantage here, but that's not sufficient. We need somebody to keep France busy. We picked the wrong time, unfortunately, here. France is trying to conquer again a piece of the occupied territory on this front here. We'll just try to defend what we did until this point. We have a small advantage on them. Of course, they will reduce the gap. But on the other hand, for them, it's much more expensive, this war. They have spent already 8 million. Peace acceptance is at -39. If maybe we manage to resist long enough. There is boiler explosion. A factory in Somaliland has been rocked by a tremendous boiler explosion with dozens dead and or injuries. The story of this tragedy has quickly become a national event. Right now, I'm just collecting events related to all the accidents in our industries. No, I don't want the lower pops to become more radical. Let's go for this second option. Workers should not be exploited and forced into such condition. It will radicalize the upper strata, but it will give back to the trade union some interest group approval. We sacrificed a little bit of that in the previous event, so let's try to compensate like this. Proposed by France. Ethiopia conquers the state of Tanganyika from France. France forces Ethiopia to pay 10% of their tax reparation. France managed to reduce the gap here in the war support. As you can see, now we are +56 versus +55. So if I will continue the war at this point, they will definitely start to have an advantage on us because they are managing to push us here and reconquering the territories where we managed to progress while keeping the other front busy. Maybe it is okay. I'm fine. Peace treaty. We managed to expand farther. Of course, from the perspective of the borders, the Empire of Ethiopia looks even worse than before. Mainly because of Kenya not being conquered and because we have only partially the state of Equatoria. Otherwise, the map will look much better. I also just realized that there is a secession movement possible. There is a weekly risk of separatists getting organized in our country. Separatist culture, Uniam Zvezdi, I don't know if I pronounce correctly, 0.4%. You can alleviate the risk of secession by decreasing radicals of the targeted culture in your country. This can be done improving the standard of living in states they live in, ensuring they are not discriminated against in the long term, or by issuing decrees to mitigate this factor in the short term. And this is probably what we will need to do. Violent suppression in Tanganyika, and we can also try to promote national value. Well, first of all, they are not discriminated. This is already good. But I need to improve their standard of living. Liquor, furniture. Let's give them liquor and let's give them furniture. I will build directly there. There is also a huge population there, so let's do it. It seems that we are not paying the war reparation. Somehow I didn't consider the war reparation. Of course, I'm not going to complain about that. Maybe I didn't read correctly the previous screen, it could also be. Honestly, I must say that from the user interface perspective, there are a number of improvements that could be done in this game. It's generally speaking good, but also many times it's not fully clear what's going on. And we have the whistle stop tour. Tsegaye Makonnen intends to travel across Ethiopia and Eritrea by train to campaign for the Radical Party. The fate of the nation depends on that train running on time. This is my usual pick. It's not the first time that we see this event. Oh no, it's our truth, another tragic event in Oromia. Given the low wages that workers in Amara are receiving, more and more parents are pushed to send their children to work to help sustain their families. Of course, we must stop this. Let's try our chance here. 35%. I don't know why the relationship with Germany are not ideal. Oh my god. This lady looks like a man. Chancellor Albertine Schimmelpfennig. Okay. By the way, we had election and the Radical Party won with 88% of the preferences. This is like almost a dictatorship, basically. Now, if I bring the Orthodox and the landowners, I should be able to confirm yes. It's quite interesting to see the landowners and the Oriental Orthodox Church as part of the Liberal Party with the industrialists. Does not make any sense, to be honest. But it's okay. Basically, the only forces that remain outside of the government are the rural folk. And we have a proposal for a defensive pact with Egypt. This is interesting, actually. Let's take a look at their diplomacy. Right now, they're damaging the relationship with Germany. Okay. They have a rivalry with Ottoman Empire. Honestly, Egypt is the best neighbor we had until this point, I believe. We really made a lot of trade routes with them. Maybe in the future it could be useful in the remaining part of this run. Maybe against Germany, maybe against France, we will see. But honestly, I am tempted to accept. I'm quite satisfied with how this adventure is developing, even in this final part of the run. I hope you are too, and I hope to see you in the next video, of course, as always. Cheers!